Hello and welcome to That's Entertaining, the show that's all about events, tech, and entertainment. I'm your host, Arthur Kay, coming to you live from Toronto, Canada, here at the Fusion Events headquarters. This is what I'm looking at right now. This is my setup I use to produce the show. You can see front and center is the cup of coffee. I'm very cautious not to spill that, because then everything is going down. And welcome to Season 2, Episode 3. It is so good to be here with you all. I am very, very excited for today's show. I can see we got some people tuning in. Hi, Marin. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Let me know if I'm doing that. Thanks for tuning in. And it was a great show. We have the incomparable Martin Smith, DJ Graffiti, who has been making a name for himself over the last few years as one of the top, probably the top corporate events DJ, and he's doing things differently, and I love that, and that's why I've got him on the show today. Want to hear a little bit about his journey, what he's up to, and what the future holds for himself and event entertainment. Also, we are going to be doing my segment called Arthur's Innovative Talent Search, which we did last episode as well, which I think went really well. So I'm going to be sharing some innovative entertainment ideas. And we're also going to be talking about holograms, because I think that's a really cool topic. And we'll talk about the applications in events. And what else? Oh, big news in AI, in generative AI. So we're going to be looking at OpenAI Sora, the new text-to-video generator, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. And what else can I say? If you are here tuning in for the first time, or you just joined us live, thank you for tuning in. Now is a great time to pop into the comments section, say hello, let me know where you're watching from. How is the weather where you're watching from? You know, it's an unbelievably, unusually gorgeous day here in Toronto. It's like 13 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's warm. It's sweater weather, and that's very, very unusual. Marin says, crazy Dutchies with their IJ combination. Oh, we're talking about the pronunciation. Okay, Murine, pine, Murine. Murine wine, fine. Okay, I think I got it. Murine. Let me know if I did that okay, Murine. Where are we? Okay, that threw me off now. So yeah, I think. Oh yes, I forgot. I was going to mention. We were talking about the weather and the chatting. I'm trying out a new sort of feature on the show this season where you, the audience, can actually join the show. We want to make this interactive, and you can do that by joining the link in the LinkedIn chat. There's a Zoom link there. Murine. Thank you. I got it. I'm gonna have to practice that one. So there's a link now in the LinkedIn chat. It's a Zoom link, and there's also call-in numbers, so you can just call in and just do audio only if you like, or you can actually click the link and you can actually join on video and be on the show, share your knowledge, share your thoughts, share your expertise, just say hello, and that you enjoy the show. Happy to have you on. So this is experimental. And one thing I learned about LinkedIn live events, which is really kind of crappy, is that when you join a LinkedIn live event mid-event, you don't see the chat from everybody else. How terrible is that? When I go to a virtual event and I'm, maybe I'm not there right at the beginning, I log in 15 minutes later, I want to be able to see the comments, and maybe people dropped links in there, they dropped knowledge. I want to see what the vibe has been, questions that have been asked and answered. So that's an unfortunate thing that I hope LinkedIn will fix. So don't mind if I post that link a few times throughout the show, so that people who join during the stream can see the link. Otherwise, they cannot. So that kind of sucks. So I think I've done all my housekeeping. So let's get into the show. Okay, so we're going to talk about some entertainment first. On last or previous episode, can't remember if it was the last episode or not, I showcased a unique, innovative brand of entertainment called looping. And it's an amazing, innovative process, I guess you could say, of using the human voice and a looping pedal where you can record your voice and it will record it and loop it, and then you can layer different sounds on it using your voice, or anything really, but these guys are mostly using their voice and effects on their voice, and it's really cool. I mean, I'll give you a quick sample of that. I'm not gonna, this is not what I'm showcasing because this was on last episodes, but just to give you an idea. So this is all just using the voice and using the loops. That low sound is his voice. Probably has an octave pedal or some type of effect on it as well. So that was the looping. And this week I'm gonna do something sort of similar but sort of not. So you've seen beatboxers before, and you've seen violinists, and now this group is called Nemesis, and they bring together these two very, I would almost say, tribal, primitive instruments and create something really magical. And you know, the innovation doesn't always have to have technology involved with it. It can just be taking something like a beatboxer and a classical violinist and putting them together and creating something unique and magical. And these guys, they perform in front of, you know, tens of thousands of people at, you know, sports games, doing halftime shows, big corporate events. They're really great because, you know, they have very easy tech rider, you know, 2 plugs essentially, and they can make a really big impact. So this is Nemesis. It's comprised of Toronto-based and Canadian beatbox champion Scott Jackson and electric violinist Dr. Draw. So let's have a listen. This is a really cool sort of holiday mashup. So if you're thinking for next year for your holiday parties, this might be a cool idea. Come on, that's sick. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen a beatboxer and a violinist play together? And they have great energy. I love the energy too. You get the claps and the air horn for that. Gotta love some Nemesis duo. They are awesome, and they are from Toronto, but available worldwide. If you're interested in booking them, you can always send me a DM. And now I want to move into the technological direction, and I don't know why, but the last 2 episodes, there's been something about Star Trek technology that comes to the forefront. I spoke in a previous episode about the idea of creating a holodeck, where, if you're not familiar, this is an idea that was introduced to the mainstream in Star Trek: The Next Generation, where you can walk into a room and say, okay, holodeck, you know, create me a Amazon jungle, and then it, synthesizes the environment and characters and people inside there that you can interact with. And today I want to talk about holograms. We've all seen, this is maybe Star Wars, where, R2-D2 projects Princess Leia with the message, or even think Iron Man with, the holographic displays that you can walk around, or interactive holograms that you can actually manipulate. And the question is, are we close to being able to do something like that? Let's take a look.
Lightfield Lab is the company behind a new hologram technology called Solid Light. The company is backed by the likes of Samsung, LG and Verizon, and says that one day this tech could be used to create huge interactive entertainment experiences that leave traditional 2D screens in the dust.
So imagine a sphere-like experience that is actually got holographic imagery. I don't know if you'd call it imagery, just holograms. As an entertainment experience, that's pretty wild to think about.
Lightfield Labs holograms don't rely on illusions like spinning volumetric displays or reflections projected on angled glass, an old magic trick known as Pepper's Ghost.
And so these are the types of holograms that you see applied in events. I've seen these, they're fans. I don't know if you've ever seen Pixel Poi, but it's essentially, blades on a fan that have LED lights. And as they spin, it creates the illusion of a hologram, but not truly a hologram because, it has this thing behind it, this fan. And also this Pepper's Ghost, which is a very old technique, which came to life at Coachella as a sort of it's what it's really known for, and that is, using a sort of, I think it's a mylar screen that you project onto. Very hard to see by the naked eye, but it appears as though there's a hologram on the screen.
Instead,
but not truly
a light
a hologram.
Source sends light through a multi-layered piece of polymer known as a phase guide that steers and focuses the light into midair, creating what's known as converging wavefronts of light. Essentially, it's creating a hologram in the space in front of you. The result is what Lightfield Lab calls a solid light object that has billions of pixels of resolution and that moves, refracts and reflects in physical space. The company says this is the highest resolution holographic display platform ever designed. We first saw this
So that's pretty cool. And the application, like I said, beyond sort of holographic displays is actually interactive holograms. The holograms, the Tupac hologram at Coachella is a recording essentially, but actually having live holograms, is that possible? Yes, it is. However, I'm just fast forwarding here a little bit to show some of that tech, but it's really not that viable because the technology is just too expensive. But it's interesting to think about for the future. And as you know, these things just get cheaper and cheaper over time.
System.
Down the hallway, one of the Lightfield team was being recorded in real time and turned into a hologram. His expressions were captured using motion capture, and that information was translated through Lightfield's proprietary wave tracer software.
So the motion capture stuff, that's pretty standard technology now, and you can actually do that from a cell phone. Can actually capture your motion, like Snapchat AR filters, etc. And this, what you see here, is actually not any type of proprietary software. This is just Unreal Engine, and maybe they do have some type of proprietary software, but they're using Unreal Engine to create this the image, and then they're using their technology to beam that into the air, which is
software.
Pretty
that
cool.
Information was then transmitted over a standard internet connection into the demo room where I was standing and projected from a solid light panel into a hologram. This hologram was small, about 10 inches across, created by a 28-inch panel, But Lightfield Labs says the panels are modular, meaning that one day it could put as many as 98 panels together to create a modular holographic video wall, 312 inches on the diagonal, generating 10 billion pixels per square meter.
So that's really cool. You know, the idea of interactive holograms, we're definitely a ways out, but that doesn't mean that people aren't figuring out ways to use holograms in events currently. And there are a couple of products, which I'm going to show you, that sort of achieve the idea of the hologram, but aren't really holograms. And there's one based out of Toronto, actually, that I want to showcase because they're local to here, but there is another one in the US as well that are doing what they call hollow boxes. So it's a box where you can essentially beam in a presenter or a speaker or a person to an event or a place, and there is a two-way capability. So the person who's filming in a remote location can see the audience, and vice versa. There's the two-way video audio communication. So this next clip I want to show you, I think, is a really effective and cool use of this technology in events, and I've seen it used in a variety of ways. And this is with my good friend Adam Groh, who's actually been on the show, and where he's beaming into CES in Las Vegas from Toronto, and doing some gamification, but also you know, creating a bit of a stir in the trade show floor. So let's take a look at that.
Come a little closer to the mic so I can hear it. What's your name?
My name is Jill.
All right, so everybody around you right now, you can tell them if they scan the QR code, they can play the Adam Groh Quiz Show on their mobile phones. You're going to answer my questions out loud for your chance to win some Las Vegas swag. How about that?
Okay.
In 1984, National Geographic became the first magazine to have a hologram on its cover with an image of what kind of animal, which is an iconic symbol of the USA?
Must have been a bald eagle.
I would like to be the second iconic animal appearing on the cover of National Geographic as a hologram. What do you think? Can we put in a good word?
Sure. What animal do you want to be?
No, I'm a trivia animal. I'm a ferocious for fun facts.
And just as luck would have it, Adam Groh himself is in the audience today. Adam, thank you so much for tuning in. Adam says, nice. Yeah, I can hear it in your voice, like, nice. Thanks for tuning in, Adam. That was a really cool activation, cool use of the hollow box. I think definitely a more, realistic, from a financial standpoint, solution to bringing a hologram into your next event. So now it is time to get into our special report. Okay, so OpenAI just came out with what is possibly the most mind-boggling tool, generative AI, and it is just blowing minds all over the place. And so we have to talk about it. We are talking about Sora, the text-to-video generator by OpenAI. I know when ChatGPT came out, everyone freaked out and said, oh, we're going to lose jobs, etc. But this is the first generative AI that I actually think could have a significant effect on certain industries, in particular stock footage. So we're going to watch some of this together now. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I'm going to scroll through some of these videos. But the detail of this is absolutely mind-bending. And we have to keep in mind that this is generation 1 of this video, of this tool. And if you look at the generation 1 of like Runway or other text-to-video tools, they're laughable compared to this. And what's really mind-blowing is obviously the detail, but this tool has physics and motion. Look at the reflection of the little guys as they're jumping around the table. This type of imagery, you either need to be shot live. Like, look at this. This is absolutely just crazy what I'm looking at that's been generated. Now, my questions are, first of all, how long does it take to render something like this? Because, if you were to do this type of rendering in Unreal Engine, for example, depending on, it's a lot of compute power, but you're looking at hours of rendering to do this. That's question one. Question two is this going to be part of the ChatGPT Plus subscription? I hope so. That would be nice. But more than likely, this is maybe another stream of revenue for OpenAI? That's my second question. My third question is, will the service agreement allow us to use it for commercial purposes? Interesting thought. And the implications that this has. So there's text to video, there's image to video, where say you could just have an animated character, an image of it, and then give it to Sora and have it actually do the animation part of it, which you would normally take, artists and graphic artists to be able to do that, and motion capture, like something like this with the motion of the character. So this is looking at this one here. I mean, this looks like kind of Fortnite-ish almost. I actually wonder if they somehow used Unreal Engine to train this model. I don't know. It looks very Unreal Engine-ish, but some of it is so realistic you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. That's scary. And obviously that there's problems that arise with this of misuse. But people also said that about ChatGPT, and besides a bunch of college kids or students getting caught cheating on tests and exams or assignments, we haven't really seen any more nefarious activity with ChatGPT than we did before ChatGPT. So the question is, can this stuff be used for deep fakes and misinformation and things like that? They certainly could. And one obviously, OpenAI hasn't released this to the public, and that's one of the things that they're working on, is sort of the safety issue, but remains to be seen. But there's no doubt that this is an incredible tool. And the other sort of application that I can think of, I've seen people who have been able to take these videos and actually do what's called photogrammetry, where you are able to create a 3D image out of a picture. And they're able to do this also with something called Gaussian splatting, where you can literally upload this, AI generated video, and it will create that space in a 3D rendering, essentially, which you can then put into Unreal Engine, or you can use in your film or in your production. Or thinking way into the future and taking my sort of Star Trek-y thoughts and ideas, this could be used as a sort of world generating platform, like in your holodeck at home. So that's pretty cool. So that brings to conclusion the Sora. I'll just skip through a little bit here. This is the Gold Rush, California. Some of these are really cool. These ones are wild. Like, the detail on this is, I'm just gonna zoom in here just to see how detailed this stuff is. But if you zoom in and just look at the hairs, each individual hair, the wrinkles, the glasses, and Midjourney has a very hard time with with glasses, but it looks like this this is pretty wild, I gotta say. So be interesting to see what happens next with this text to video generation. Doesn't say when it's going to be released, but I'll be signing up to get on the wait list as soon as there is one available. But I do feel bad for anybody who's in the stock footage business, because that, I think, is going to be potentially greatly affected by something like that. So now is the time to get into my guest. Well, not get into him, but, get into bringing him on the show. And I'm really excited because he's just a cool dude and a very interesting guy. I came across Martin, aka DJ Graffiti, during the pandemic, and he was just all of a sudden all over my feed at every sort of major virtual event that I was attending. There's Martin uplifting people with his brand of uplifting sort of DJing style, and so I'm excited to have him on the show. I'm going to read you a little bio here. Martin Smith, aka DJ Graffiti, is the keynote DJ, a specialist at delivering joy through music to corporate events worldwide. Voted best DJ in Detroit by Real Detroit Weekly, DJ Graffiti has shared stages in person with Jay-Z, Eminem, Beyonce, Snoop Dogg, and J. Cole. In response to COVID-19, he found a calling in creating interactive, virtual, and in-person experiences for corporations. He has collaborated with more than, this says 50, but I know that's not right, probably 100 or more, right? Right, Martin? Definitely. More than 100 corporations, including Google, Cisco, GitLab, Campbell's, and Nike. So please welcome my guest, Martin Smith. Hello, Martin. Oh, why don't I hear you? Okay. You know what? Let's try that again. I'm going to let you refresh your browser there. We had this issue yesterday. I don't know what happened, but sometimes, when you're doing virtual things, it just doesn't want to work. Martin, say hello so I can see your audio levels there. There we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, Martin Smith. Hey,
how's
Martin.
it going, Arthur? Glad that you can hear me this time.
Yes, of course I can hear you. I don't know what's going on. It's the internet is not happy with us. They don't want us to have this interview.
Right? The interview that the internet does not want to have happen.
But thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Enjoying all of the content. And yes, my mind is blown by Sora. I can't wait for what is to come. It's also a little bit scary, but I'm excited and I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I dubbed the title of this interview, from beats to profit. So I want to get the DJ Graffiti story because, we get to see you often online. And for those who don't know, first of all, go follow Martin, because he has this awesome weekly uplift, which he does on LinkedIn. Do you multi-stream that, or is it just on LinkedIn?
It's on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the main place, but I also stream it to YouTube, to Twitch, and to Twitter.
Okay, so you can check him out on all those platforms, whichever is your preferred platform. And every single week, Martin's dropping a DJ set in the middle of the week, which is awesome. So we can talk a little bit more about that. But I want to know, as a music guy myself, how did you get into the DJing in the first place? What was your sort of catalyst that got you into the DJing?
Definitely. So, well, first, uplift, just so in case anybody's interested, I want to make sure I get that in there, because usually we get to the end and I forget all about it. But every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We do that. It's to kick off the week and just give some good energy. And like Arthur said, just uplift everybody's spirit. I take song requests and interact with everyone and do that every Monday at 12 noon. And you can go to join.djgraffiti.com to sign up. It's absolutely free. And come on and join us and have some fun with us each week. And you can catch the replay if you aren't able to make it live. So that being said, how I got my start in DJing, I started in the late 90s when I was in school and college. And a lot of my friends started DJing around the same time. And I picked it up and it became something that I did to partially, pay my way through school. But then for the first 10 years, I said, I'm going to be the biggest, best DJ I can be. And so I really grew myself to a point of getting up to open for those big name, iconic artists that you mentioned, and was named best DJ in Detroit. But then to fast forward to now, I realized that, my life is changing. I don't necessarily want to be in concerts and clubs and late nights all the time. And the corporate world just fits me and my lifestyle more. And then I've been running a digital marketing agency since, what was that? I mean, it's been about 14 years. I was the CEO of a digital marketing agency. I've somewhat retired from that position now, but corporate just brings together those worlds, right? So that's why I'm focused on corporate events, because I feel like I can make an impact on not just people's lives, but the products and services that we use every day, right? It's like there's so much change that I'm able to make and see happen. And it also happens to happen during business hours, right? And so that's why I love the corporate world.
We all know everybody's not
yeah.
working the whole time anyways, right? So
No. And there's just too much stress happening, all the layoffs, all the crazy stuff that happens in life in general, right? But so much of it happens on the workplace. You're stressed out, trying to do more with less, and all the things we talk about. And so just to pump people up and get them ready for making the most of their day. And that's how it has a business ROI piece. I'm very focused on that, making sure that it actually drives the end goals for businesses. So that's what I love doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you sort of very quickly sort of skimmed over the fact that you opened for all these like historic legends. So I want to know a little bit more about that, as I'm sure the audience does too. So how do you end up on stage with Jay-Z and Beyonce and Eminem? I mean, Eminem I can understand because if he's from Detroit and you're from Detroit, but how does that end up happening?
Well, from my perspective, I'm a really good DJ, but I might be an even better marketer, right? So it was very intentional that I ended up in those places. I sold mixtapes. And so I was always looking for a way. Like, I bring up the mixtapes. That'll take us on a tangent that we don't have time to go on. But I'll say my way for getting on those stages was really more realizing who my true audience was, right? So a lot of people thought, oh, if you can just be a really good DJ or a really good artist, then other people will find you and bring you in and ask you to open up for them. And that does happen. But for me, it was like, how can I make this happen? This is what I want to do. I want to open up for these types of artists. And usually it was either the radio show DJs, and every once in a while they would bring somebody else in. So I said, how can I make myself that person? Right. And so at the time, this was before social media was really super heavy. And so I built an email list of people that were concert goers and fans. And that's how the mixtape thing ties in. The same people that were buying my CDs at the time, right, were the people that I was adding to this email list. And nobody really had an email list that was thousands of people large. And so I could get on just about any show I wanted to, because I was definitely going to do a great job DJing, but they want to sell tickets. So if you add me to your show and I'm going to let the whole Metro Detroit area know that the show is going on and promote that event, then that's how I was able to get on. So really, I leveraged my marketing experience to be able to get on to those shows. And then over time, when I started being the person who was, oh man, he's DJing another sold out show and he opened for this artist and this artist, then it just became a track record thing. And they were like, well, he's the go-to guy. And it steamrolled from there.
And is there anything that you, in your experiences doing that, before you got into corporate events, that sort of influences how you do things today?
Oh, of course. I mean, for me, like I said, I've always been a marketer, right? And so, like, it was 1997. The year that I started DJing was the year that I enrolled in business school and got a degree in marketing, right? So I'm always thinking about what's happening behind the scenes. There's always a front thing that's happening that everybody sees, and then there's always the behind the scenes things that are going on from a business perspective. And I'm always looking at both, right? So the thing when right now, I've spent 25 plus years being a DJ. So I kind of have things good when it comes to just getting up there and playing music that people can enjoy. That's fairly easy for me. But when we look at it from a corporate perspective, whenever you're having a corporate event, you're there for a reason. There's some reason behind the scenes, right? It's not just to get together just to have fun. If you're having fun with employees, it's, hey, let's make sure that our employees feel celebrated. Let's make sure they feel appreciated. Let's reduce their stress levels so that they can get back in here and do some more work and make us more money, right? Or let's bring together all of these potential clients, right? So that they can see how much we love them, appreciate them. We understand their problems and their pain points. Let's educate them a little bit so that they can buy more stuff from us, right? Or it's sponsors. Let's make sure we bring these folks together so that they buy more from the sponsor and the sponsor sees return, right? So the important part for me that I brought from all the years is how to come in and just make sure people have a great time and are really engaged and enjoying themselves, right? But the corporate piece is me bringing the marketing aspect into it and saying, how can we create an experience that also drives the goals for whoever is cutting the check? That's what I'm bringing all those worlds together.
Right. And by the way, we do have Merwine in the Zoom call. Merwine, are you there?
Marine, how's it going, Marine?
Okay. We're gonna bring him up in a sec. I wanted to now I want to fast forward a little bit to sort of, present future. So pandemic hit and you were doing the opening acts and you were still doing club shows at that point, or?
No. By the time nobody was doing anything when the pandemic hit.
just before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, before the pandemic, I honestly had wound down my DJ career quite a bit, right? I still was active, still had a regular residency here around town. I would kind of pop out for big events. But what was that? It was honestly right after I was named best DJ in Detroit was about the time where I went on an overseas tour. And it was 2 weeks. I was in Paris and London and Germany in a few spots and Spain, Linz, Austria. But actually I was sitting in a cafe eating paella in Spain because I said, if I ever get to Spain, I'm gonna have some paella. And it was not the best paella ever. I'm saying that was like
me when I went to New Orleans and had a po' boy. And I was like,
yeah.
Is this? I had a bad one. It was not a good one.
You went to the wrong spot. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
After the fact, I realized that I was at like a chain restaurant, and that's why I just asked somebody, "Hey, where can I get some paella?" And I'm in the touristy town area, and so they're like over there. And so I went there, and I was like, "Oh, it's not what I was expecting. I waited my whole life to have some paella in Spain, and this is what I got." But okay. I got to leave that part out of the story. But I'm sitting there, and this is toward the tail end of the 2 weeks, and I'm like, man, I'm ready to go home. And these were some of the best experiences I've had in my life. Most of the countries I'm visiting, I had never been to, right? And so I'm so excited about it. It was so amazing. Met wonderful people, experiences like crazy, and I wanted to go home. So I was like, wow. And really, it's like I loved being on stage. I loved everything about it, but I'm just not cut out to be on the road all the time. And I knew that if I kept that going as my life, then I would, I'm signing up to just constantly be on the road all the time. And I'm more of a stay at home. Sometimes I really enjoy traveling, but I don't want to constantly be on the road. So I said, I guess I better lean into my other love, which is marketing. That's when I really focused and doubled down on running an agency. But then I kind of left part of my DJing love behind, right? So I was either kind of doing one or the other, and the other one was always like the side hustle, but never both at the same time. But when the pandemic hit, it allowed me to bring both of them together and finally feel like, wow, I'm finally fulfilled in doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's why, I love what I'm doing right now, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And it's exciting to be able to kind of have both things happening at the same time, but there's a lot of education that has to happen, I feel, from a branding perspective for me, because it's not normal to have DJs who care about any of this other stuff that I care about. And so sometimes people are like, well, just get in here and play music. And it's like, well, that's not really what I'm doing, right? Like, yes, I'm doing that. But if you don't want me doing this other piece, then you don't need me. You just go find somebody else, right?
And I want to ask you, so like in terms of how you prepare for an event now versus how you would have done it in the past, now that you are the keynote DJ, and maybe tell us what that means, because some people don't know what the hell a keynote DJ is.
Right. Nobody knows until I tell them, because I believe I'm the first and only keynote DJ, right? So, but what I started to realize was that the position that I was taking within events was a lot more like a keynote speaker than it was like a DJ. So traditionally, the most impact that I feel that I create is when you put me on stage in front of the audience and do it at 8:30 in the morning at, in an auditorium. So not just the evening mixer or the nighttime party, right? So it's great. It's great to have a DJ. It's always going to bring wonderful, amazing energy. And that's still the same thing that I do. So nothing is really changed from a DJing perspective. It's the same DJing. It's just that I have goals and outcomes that I'm looking to drive with that process. And so that's caused me to bring in more talking. I hardly ever talked in the past. So now there's a lot more communication happening. I'm trying to engage the audience. So I'm talking back and forth to the people. So here I wrote down the name Adam, who was talking back and forth with the hologram and interacting with the audience. I'm trying to do that while I'm playing music, right? So that's the biggest change. But in terms of how much time and effort that I put into the music, it really depends on the event. But what I love most is being able to put very little time into the music, because if I can interact with people and take requests, then they drive where the music is going. And the part that I love about that is I'll never do a bad event if I'm interacting with the audience, because, if a DJ is bad, it means they're playing stuff that nobody wants to hear and they won't change it. Right. But if the audience can pull me in the direction they want to go into, and I'm a musical chameleon, I just love music. So if they say, let's go this way, I'm like, cool, let's do it. Right. And so for me,
how deep do you get into the actual like content of the event? Because you're on stage at these big presentations, and from a sort of booker perspective, when you hire a DJ, it's like, okay, here's the event, they want some 70s 80s, but whatever, it's you just do your thing, show up, boom, you show up, you read the crowd, you do your thing. But with you're speaking with presenters, you're speaking with hosts, you're facilitating sort of what's happening on stage. And I think this is why you're very successful at this and many other DJs aren't, is because they don't have the ability to, like, first of all, public speaking, and they just don't think like event people. They think like DJs. If you need them to make an announcement that the bar's closing, or last call at the bar, or ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats, that's kind of what you expect from a DJ on the mic, right? So that's why when I say preparation for an event, it's less on the music side that I'm talking about, but like more you actually have to meet with a client and actually understand what the event is, understand what the sessions are. It's like a whole different level of preparation, I would imagine.
Exactly. That's the huge part of the value that I believe I bring, and what clients tell me that they get the most out of, right? So that interaction and the behind the scenes thing is what you don't see. It's harder to sell that, right? Because people don't realize that's what they're buying, but that is not just for me. That's any, vendor that you're working with. That process of how easy is it to make sure that you get a successful result, and how deep are they willing to go to make sure whatever you need is going to happen, right? Like that's what really makes a trustworthy. And I've heard people have said you're more like a partner than you are a vendor, right? And so like that's the part of it. So yeah, all of that preparation time, the more that I can do into researching who is the audience, right? And how can I show up ready, prepared to help them get to where they're trying to go, right? That's what my work, that's where that's what I'm cut out for, that's what I'm made for, and that's why I'm here, right? So that's the keynote DJ piece, right? The same with a public speaking person who's going to stand up in front of an audience. Anybody can get up and deliver that same talk that they've given everywhere. But when you can personalize it, understand who's here, tell some specific stories that help them connect the dots on how they're going to get more out of life because they heard you speak, right? That's different. And so I'm trying to be that same thing, but from a DJ perspective. It's a music-based experience that brings in some of that same energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's sort of like, events should be more like talk shows, where like if we could get the Roots for every show, that'd be great, where you can have the band to, banter with and bring on guests. But the Roots are very expensive, guys. So you could get DJ Graffiti who can play some Roots and among other things that the audience wants to hear. So I have Murine, am I saying it right? Oh my God, he's going to kill me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to actually bring him on stage so he can tell me how to pronounce his name. He's been waiting so patiently. So come on up. Hey, how you doing there?
Marine.
Marine, how are you?
Hi, Martin. Good to see you. Hi, Arthur.
Good to see
Well,
you.
actually, you nailed my name. So,
Marine, I got to remember that. Yeah, I got to remember that. It's so hard when you see it, on LinkedIn, and you have this like idea in your head of how it possibly may sound. But great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
my pleasure. I'm always a big fan of inviting the audience on the stage. So, was glad I was in the audience and thought I'll just grab my chance. And I actually just had a LinkedIn Live myself, so I still have my nice setup and a proper microphone. So I felt comfortable enough to join. So
Thank you for joining.
And thank you for having Martin on. Like, he knows I'm a big fan of him, and it's always good to hear his story. And thought, let's join and see how it goes.
Awesome. So did you have...
I've been on Marine's podcast in the past, his event marketing podcast. So yeah, he's a friend. So it's great to have you here. And thank you for being in the audience. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Did you have any thoughts on any of the things Martin's been sharing? Have you had the pleasure of attending an event that he's DJ'd?
Absolutely. Quite a few, actually. And occasionally I even make it to the LinkedIn Live as well. Otherwise, I just watch the recording, so to speak, which is always a good way to start the week. But a lot of people, especially DJs, are convinced by the fact that you should not take any requests because you are the DJ, you're the expert. And to give a bit of context, I've been DJing for quite a while as well, so I know how people think. But I'm very much on Martin's side. I think it's very powerful to have that connection with the audience and see where they go. And if you are a comedian, like Martin is as well, and he is an amazing comedian, like he can go and make any track, any genre pop and come out in the right way. So that is something that really resonates with the audience. I think a lot of people are talking about it, that the audience needs to be at point of center. It's without an audience, there's no event. And Martin is the guy to do that. Absolutely. Although you're doing a good job as well, Arthur. I must say, I like the format.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
interactivity you bring.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Marine. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate you tuning in, and definitely, come back another time. Would be happy to have you back on the show. And now, Martin, I wish we had more time. I wish this show was like 2 hours. I could just vibe with you and talk about this stuff for so long, but it wouldn't be an episode of That's Entertaining if I didn't put you in the hot seat. It wouldn't be an episode of That's Entertaining without the hot seat. So I'm going to explain the game to you. It's really all just in good fun, Martin. I'm going to give you a word or a idea or sentence, and you can just vibe on it for 1 minute. We'll have 1 minute on the clock, and I'm going to award you arbitrary points, which win you no prize whatsoever except the bragging rights of having been on Hot Takes with Arthur K. So let's see, what will be a good one to start with. Okay, I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Okay, music has the power to blank, and then you fill that in and talk about what it is that music has the power to. Are you feeling
right.
Are you feeling up to it? Are you ready?
I got this. I got
Okay,
this.
so we're gonna get 1 minute on the clock, and when you are ready, you can go.
All right. Music has the power to do just about anything, right? That's the most amazing thing about music is that it meets you where you are, and it can also take you places that you want to go. So if you're going through something and you're feeling down, there's music for that, right? It's like the App Store. There's an app for that, right? If you're wanting to get pumped up and energized, there's music for that, right? If you need to change your mindset, there's music for that. If you're in the gym and you need to get those extra reps in, there's music for that, right? So that's what I love about music is not only that there's music for everything, but it also bypasses the part of our brain that we want to say, here, I got 10 seconds to get this out, right? It bypasses the part of our brain where we think too much about things. It can just bypass that and go right into your brain and help you to feel differently, right? So it can emotionally reach you in ways that just about nothing else can. I love music.
100 points. You get full points for that. Music is such a powerful tool, and it reminds me of a post I just replied to on LinkedIn, a collaborative article where it was saying, just throw up a Spotify playlist or a YouTube for the music if you want to save on your budget. But first of all, that's a terrible idea because that's just not legal and you really shouldn't play Spotify. If you're going to do that, at least go Apple Music or Tidal or something that pays the artist better. Music is super powerful. So don't underestimate the psychological powers of music. Now, this one, Murren touched on, but as you know, I'm going to put it up on the screen, taking requests. This is something that I feel strongly about too, obviously. And a lot of DJs I know and a lot of musicians do not, under any circumstances, want to take requests. It is a nuisance. So I really want to know what I think I already have a good idea what your take is on it, but drop some truth bombs on your thoughts on taking requests. And the minute is on the clock and you may go.
All right. I would love to. Now, taking requests, there's a certain things when a DJ gets to a certain point or a musician in their career that you are getting paid because of the status that you've built up. You're getting paid for your own creative vision, right? So when you're there and people are there to see you create and do what you do, then you don't really want requests. It's like, I'm taking you on a journey, just sit back and enjoy the ride, right? You wouldn't go into a chef's kitchen and be like, or a Michelin star chef's kitchen and be like, stop making that food. Don't make it like this. Do it how I want you to do it, right? That's just absurd. You don't do that, right? But for me, during these events that I'm doing right now, it's a whole different type of event. Nobody's bringing me in just to hear my own creative take on things. I've created a whole separate engaging activity that it's about being interactive. So that's why I take requests there. There are other places where I wouldn't take requests. All right. So that's it. Don't just be going up telling every DJ you have to take requests because DJ Graffiti did.
You're going to get DJ Graffiti in trouble with every DJ in town.
Don't do it. It's like for your own sake. There's memes all over the internet with people getting slapped because they're making requests and DJs just really being so passive aggressive or actually aggressive. You don't want to do that. It's not good for your health. All right.
Absolutely. Okay, so this one got time for maybe one or two more. Since you are knowledgeable in this subject, let's talk about how to grow your personal brand in 2024. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get 1 minute on the clock and go.
All right, so growing your personal brand, I'm going to speak from the aspect of digital marketing. I think it's about being authentic and finding out who you are, and then also finding an audience and figuring out what that audience wants from you, right? Because for me, for instance, I'm just as much a marketer as I am a DJ. And I just put out a poll and said, rank these different things on which words you think most describe me. And marketer is the word that people put at the very bottom, right? But and I said you can't pick DJ, but marketer is at the bottom. So people don't really see me as a marketer, even though I very much am one. So you got to figure out what part of me that I am willing to showcase to this audience is also what they want from me. And then you double down on that and you just keep coming back and posting. And then over time, you'll get better at putting that out there. But then I also want to say, if you're looking to try and sell something, you got to make sure that you're creating content that makes that audience more likely to buy from you. That's how you double down and create and grow your personal brand.
Oh, I should unmute myself.
Woo!
Oh, that should...
I was scared there
Martin's
for a
like...
second. I was like, I can't hear you.
What I was saying was that I resonate with that and the sort of authenticity part and the creating content. And, you know, for me, the content part is like, it's so time consuming, right? Like it really is. So that's why I've chosen to do this blog. Who's read a blog? This podcast sort of format, because it allows me to be authentically me and show who I am. But then it also gives me a bunch of content that I can chop up after the fact. I can, get all this content recorded in an hour. There is preparation involved, but yeah, so that's great advice from Martin. And let's just do one more. Tell me what you think about this. Curious to know. When attendees get too drunk, or generally alcohol at events, you have a minute on the clock. You may go.
Right. Wow. When attendees get too drunk at events, keep them away from me, right? Especially if I got my DJ equipment there. But in general, it's just something, I'm talking about corporate events now. It's just not somewhere you want to be. You don't want to be that person that everybody has memories about what you did and forgot you did at the event. So try not to be that person. But otherwise, I think we are and have been for a while moving into a space where you want to try and make sure that you might need to have alcohol there, but I think as much attention should be put on the non-alcoholic beverages also, because not everybody wants to consume. And then also just it shouldn't be what's driving the joy at your event just because you got sloshed, right? It should be the experiences, the community, the people, all of that can drive things also. So let's go for a great experience with or without alcohol.
I forgot to give you points for the last one, so I'm going to give you 93 points on the last one and 97 points. You're in the 90 percentile, so that's great. Congratulations.
All right, I'll take it.
You have succeeded in surviving another segment of Hot Takes. And at this time, you did a great job, Martin. You did it. Now the nerves can settle. I want to thank you so much. I know we're like 2 minutes over, but I really appreciate your time and coming on and chatting with me. I feel like I may have to bring you back again sometime down the road to continue this conversation. But definitely check out Martin Smith, aka DJ Graffiti, on all your social platforms, particularly LinkedIn. He's very active there, and I'm sure would love to connect with you. So Martin, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for having me and for all the time and effort that you put into making this the amazing, entertaining podcast and episode that it is. So thank you so much, Arthur. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Martin. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. All right, and that brings to conclusion episode 3 of season 2 of That's Entertaining. I want to thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. If you were in the comments or you dropped in the show, thank you for doing that. You can always subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. You can like the stream wherever you're watching. You can ding the bell on my LinkedIn profile, and just want to say again, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back again next episode featuring Pat McGannon from PM Gigs, and this is Arthur K signing out.